We have our next speaker, Lauren Proctor. About Lauren Proctor, he is an digital marketer and product strategist. So, as a Jobbatical head of marketing, Lauren is focused on acquiring employers and attracting high-quality business, tech, and creative talent from all corners of the globe. Before joining Jobbatical, Mr. Proctor worked at a think tank and then founded and ran a New York City-based marketing and product management consultancy. She is absorbed with building growth engines to increase traffic and revenues and has worked with clients such as Virgin Airlines, YouTube, Network A, and a brand at the cross-section of luxury and fashions. As an entrepreneur, Proctor also co-founded a company that made more than 4 mm in revenue in its first 6 months and then went on to be acquired by Twitter in less than a year. So we welcome Ms. Lauren Proctor for presenting the digital storytelling and future marketing. Ms. Lauren Proctor, the stage is all yours.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to be here. So I am in the Jobbatical offices where the workday is just now finishing and the team is saying goodbye. So let's see if I can get this scroll bar. All right. So today I am going to talk about digital storytelling and the future of marketing. If you have any questions during my talk, feel free to chime in. I'll answer as much as I can, and I'm happy to make this as interactive as you'd like. So, my name is Lauren Proctor, and I'm the head of marketing at Jobbatical. I'm on a Jobbatical from New York City to Tallinn, Estonia. And in case you're wondering, if you're looking for a job or you're looking to hire someone, Jobbatical connects companies with a database of business, creative, and tech professionals around the world. We're a two-sided marketplace, which means that we have to get both employers and talent on board in order for our company to operate. We have 210,000 professionals from 190 different countries who are looking to make a move to another place. Many of our users are from India, and I was shocked to find that one of the most popular destinations there is actually Switzerland. So we have 1,000 companies who have hired through Jobbatical, and they're from 76 countries. In that, we have one mission, and it's to help the world work together, because we believe that skills matter much more than the passport that you were born with. In addition to trying to figure out how to make matches so that people can successfully relocate around the world, we do mobility research with governments. We have a partnership with a behavioral scientist from the University of Cambridge, and we work with the Singaporean government as well as the Estonian government. And right now, we're working to launch the world's first digital nomad visa. What this means is that if you're approved, you could actually work remotely for any company around the world and stay in the Schengen area for up to 365 days. Right now, a lot of people have to go for 3 months or whatever their visa allows them, and then they have to go back home. And it's really stressful for a lot of independent workers. So what we're hoping to do is work with the Ministry of Interior of Estonia to make this much easier. So as you can imagine, we are busy. We have many lives that we're responsible for. Every single one of those 210,000 people, we try to learn about. And then of those 1,000 employers, we really have to understand what kind of human do they want to bring to their company? And what does it mean if that person has a family? How do we accommodate that? So we have many lives, and of course, we have many metrics. And in order to deal with our two-sided marketplace, we have to figure out what those metrics are. And despite how complicated this business is, and probably how complicated all of your businesses are, we only have one story, and we only care about one thing, and that's making sure that people work where they're happy. So today, I want to help you tell your story. I want you to figure out exactly what makes you special in the marketplace so that you can communicate that and grow your business. So let's set the scene first. Let's talk about marketing as a space. As much as we want to say things are the same as they used to be, they're always changing. And we're dealing with a very different kind of marketing than we were 5, even 2 years ago. In fact, in 1994, the first display advertisement launched on Wired magazine, and it was for a telecom company called AT&T. That ad on the sidebar of the article on Wired.com actually had a 44% click-through rate, meaning 44% of the people who saw that ad on Wired.com clicked it. And today, the average, according to the International Advertising Bureau, is 0.04%. It's more difficult than ever to get in front of our audience and figure out how to get them to be enticed by our offer. At the same time, there are tensions between personalization, monetization, and privacy. So as companies, we're always trying to figure out how to make more money. How do we make more money per client that we have? And how do we minimize the cost that it takes in order to get a new client? This is on the business side. And in order to make more money, we actually use personalization to make sure that every single person in our funnel feels spoken to. But at the same time, in order for, as marketers, us to deliver a personalized experience, we have to sacrifice some of our users' privacy. And I don't know if you've heard of GDPR at all, but in Europe, it's making a huge splash because it means that we have to ask for permissions every time that we want to collect data about a person, and we have to delete it over time. So what we're dealing with as marketers are these tensions. And also, the growth of marketing tools that enable us to do our craft are growing exponentially. There's a company called Chief Martech, and they track the number of marketing tool solutions that are available to our industry. In 2011, they mapped 150 tools. In 2016, there were 3,500 tools, and now there are 10,000. So what this means is that our space is becoming more complicated than ever. It's more difficult to get through the noise than it has ever been before. So what do we do? Well, at the end of it, all of us are the same. We want to be really seen, and we want to buy products that make our lives seem better. We want to have great relationships. We want to value our family, and we want to seem valued or feel valued. And there's nothing like marketing because it empowers us, no matter where we are in the world, no matter what our background is, to communicate with as many people in the world as will possibly listen in one go. This is particularly the case with TV advertising or digital marketing or any of these one-to-many solutions. And as a marketer, my passion is figuring out how to communicate with as many people and resonate with as many people as possible while making one message that people really like. One of my other favorite things about marketing is that you can get feedback in the form of data. And this is really amazing because Usually when you're sitting across from someone, you can see sort of what someone is feeling. It's a little bit harder online, but what's cool is when people start to respond, you get that back in the form of longer website visits and things like that. Also, marketing is at the very bottom of it, the very most forgiving form of love. It might sound tacky, but I really, really feel this because if you try to give a message at one point and it doesn't resonate, people will just not listen. They won't usually online. Of course, there are some trolls, but for the most part, they just ignore your message. It isn't until someone actually falls in love with what you're doing that they really, really listen. So today I want to give you 7 steps to effective storytelling. The steps are to begin with the value. So what do you have that's different from everyone else? What is it that you have that people want? One way to do this is to start asking questions about who you are and what you do. So who are your people, the people that you want to reach? And what's their pain point that your product or service is really addressing? What do these people want when they're looking for your product? We'll go more into exactly how to go through and get this feedback about what they want just in a little bit. But you also want to ask to find your true value, the kind of emotional satisfaction that you provide. You want to look at your competitors and what their unique selling proposition or USP is. And then you want to look at what is it that you can offer that's different from anyone else in the market. In other words, you have to get to the essence of the value you provide. One of my favorite user charts is a graph that shows where someone is in your marketing funnel, and then it shows what their emotional state is via emojis. So in the beginning, they find your product, and maybe they're a 10 out of 10 super smiley face. And then they see your landing page where you're saying, buy this coffee. And maybe they think it's funny, and so they're still a 10 out of 10. But then they try to click on your buy button, and it doesn't work. Or maybe you ask them for too much information. The data will show when this is dropping significantly. It will show because people will leave, or they'll start to rage click on your site, which you can see on heat mapping software. This data tells you when your product is working and when it's not working, and it tells you the value of what you're offering. So after you have the value, you have to envision this marketing funnel, similar to what I just spoke about. For example, how do you want people to find you, and what will keep them falling in love with you? In the marketing process, we have, for example, camera companies. And so maybe someone is searching online for cameras. At that point, they're probably looking for the very, very basics of cameras. But if they search Nikon 5678 3A4, then they are very deep in the customer cycle. They're getting ready to purchase because they've done a lot of research already on your product. The same is the case for energy drinks, where someone maybe is trying to figure out if they should drink energy drinks versus coffee, or if they're searching your energy drink versus Red Bull. You have to imagine yourself in the customer's place and really meet them where they are every step of the way. And as you do this, as you encourage people to go down this marketing funnel, you have to make sure that they don't have to lift a finger before buying from you. You want to make it easy, seamless, like falling in love. So one of the best ways to do that is to start with the story. I don't know about you, but one of the things that I remember most about my childhood are the stories that I was told. It was the horror stories that terrified me, or the stories of hope that made me feel that I could grow up and be something wonderful, or that my friends could grow up and be amazing. Brands these days, especially when we're in a commoditized world that's full of choice, really can focus on their story. I saw a question actually before I jumped online about what to do in this commoditized workplace, like in the commoditized world. How do you, is it okay to only address a certain number of people? And that answer is yes, because there are a lot of buyers. And if your business plan really figures out how to get real advocates connected to who you are and what you offer, then you will have a profitable company. You just have to figure out the equation. So discovering the story is all about thinking like a journalist. Journalists are great at figuring out exactly how to compel you from the headline. They figure out how to convey a story very quickly, and then they tell it and keep you connected to their story when they're doing their job every step of the way. So I actually came from a journalism background, and the first thing that I learned in college was that you have to get to the truth very quickly. You have to figure out how to distill things down to the essence of this truth. And you have to remember that every word, you're vying for attention from others. So for example, you have to make sure that it's more beneficial for your user or your potential customer to stay on with you than it is for them to actually click away and play Candy Crush or something else, maybe message on WhatsApp. The other thing I learned in journalism school is that if it bleeds, it leads. I don't love this sentence, but it stuck with me, and I think it's a good practice. In other words, if people really turn their heads, then you should start with the most shocking, the most interesting part of your story. So I just saw, thank you, Jacqueline, for this story, question about what your storytelling strategy should include. I'm going to jump into this right now. So the first thing, if you want to figure out your story, is to look at the trends. Almost everything online is quantified, and that's really cool. And Google Trends, for example, tells a really interesting story regardless of where your customers are or what it is that you're selling. On Jobbatical, we sell jobs, and so we want to know which market should we target first. We might go to Google Trends and see interest over time. As you can see on this here, we have Dubai jobs, Singapore jobs, and Germany jobs. And 2004 to present, you can see the volume of people looking for jobs from all over the world. The demand in this case in Dubai is much higher than it is in Singapore or Germany. And so if you look on this map near the bottom, you can see that the yellow parts are where people are looking for jobs in Dubai. And so many of our users on Jobbatical are from the US. And so we know that if we offer jobs in Dubai, we're going to meet the biggest demand. If you do this same search on google.com/trends for swimsuits, say for example if you sell swimsuits, you'll see that the demand for swimsuits goes up in the summer and decreases in the winter. It makes sense, especially in the US where summer months are usually warmer and everyone's going swimming and on vacation. So these Google Trends can start to tell you exactly what people are looking for. They can also show you, if you scroll down on the Google Trends page, other things that people are searching about. And so For example, swimming suits might tell you to write about the best beers to bring to the beach, or the best toys to bring to the beach, the best beach chairs. If you're a swimsuit brand, this is a great way to connect to your users by providing this kind of really useful content that people are looking for already. Another thing so that you can see the trends is find your biggest competitor in the market who you think is doing a great job of telling a story. I added Jobbatical's information here, but if I was a beverage company, for example, I might look at Coca-Cola. I would look at how much traffic they're getting every month. And then if you scroll down on similarweb.com, you can see exactly what search terms they're ranking for. In other words, you can see exactly what story they're looking for, or they're telling in order to attract their users. There's this country rank and this category rank on SimilarWeb. So what this basically is saying here is that Jobbatical is the 167th most popular site on the internet, 167,000th, and then in the US it's the 211,000th, and then for jobs sites it's the 1,463rd most popular job site in the world. So one helpful thing, if you want to see who are the most visited people online, who's attracting the most attention in your category, you click on this category rank to the right, and then you go ahead and you see each of these top sites and look at exactly what they're doing. Another example is here you can see the Buzzsumo. This is a site that tracks the most shared content in any given topic. So in this case, we're looking at how to guide our people on how to get marketing jobs. And we want to know, what is it that people are sharing the most online? In other words, when they see it, how are they the most triggered to tell their friends about it? So Buzzsumo.com is a great place to figure out exactly how to tell your story or position your topic in a way that really resonates with people, a way that resonates so much that they'll share it with their friends. There are many other techniques, but one other of the most basic ones is to Google your topic. Google makes their money by putting the top results at the beginning. If they didn't return the most relevant search results, they wouldn't be the most famous search engine in the world. And so if you Google your topic, you can see who is doing the best at telling their story. I use another Google Chrome extension called Related Keywords, and that's this column here on the right of my search results. It shows exactly how many people are searching specific terms related to the topic that I'm talking about. And so what that allows me to do is figure out, for example, if I'm a refrigerator brand and in my industry I say, coolant system, but all my customers are searching for fridge or refrigerator, then I can't tell a story about coolant systems because no one will care. In fact, on the web, no one will see it. But for telling a story about refrigerators, if it has a high search volume, you're going to do a lot better. And when I say telling a story, I don't necessarily mean, connecting it to a myth. It can be that case, or you can tell a funny story about you or your brand. But a lot of times telling a story is about educating, just the way it was when our parents told us stories when we were kids. There's a lesson there, and there's a value that when we were kids took us all the way through to our adulthood and taught us exactly how to live. In this case, it might just be a story about how to, feed your kids by keeping your milk cool enough during the summer when the months are the hottest. And that means a lot, but you're not, it's a value as well as a story. So once you have your story, you have to figure out if it's resonating. We do this by testing different variations of our story online. This is also called A/B testing. In other words, when we A/B test, we measure how people act on their journey down this marketing funnel that I spoke about. So how are they behaving when they come to our site when they're just searching cameras versus how are they behaving when they're searching the Nikon 6A47C? It's very different. You have to meet your customers in a different place, and you have to push them towards the buy button. If you're selling cameras or if you're selling a service, you have to maybe sometimes sell the importance of that service and then show them why they can't afford not to have your service. And what's great about the web is that at any given time, it's like there are two of you, and you can talk to some people with your A test and other people with your B test. On Jobbatical, we often do this with email subject lines or with headlines. So for example, we might say, move to the country of your dreams on one test, which we send to 100,000 people. And then in the other, we might say, get a job that pays your bills. And in the other case, we would measure how people react to the 100,000 that we sent in the other. And so when we have this baseline of two different variables, the A and the B, then we're able to figure out how to refine our messaging and tell our story better. In the future, A/B testing is going to become more accessible than it is now. It's already quite easy with tools like Optimizely and WriteMessage, which these give you variables and personalized content. But it's going to become even easier in the future. And so as you're doing this, you have to remember to collect the data. And you have to have your data very easily measured from the very beginning. So let's say, for example, that you sell consulting on how to move abroad or immigration and visa assistance, as we do for companies. We have to have a very specific data point that we need to measure in order to see whether or not we're wasting our time versus building a real business. And so we might say, okay, we're going to test this market in this way. You define it very clearly, and we expect those results. And if you see those results, then you know that you're building something really powerful. But if you don't see the results, you can look exactly where are people leaving our site. Maybe they love that we're doing immigration, but we're asking them for too much personal information. And so they don't want to sell, or they don't want to leave their personal information with us until we build more trust. This is something that's great about both A/B testing and collecting the data. Right now, I think the more technical marketers are better at collecting data, but overall, it's going to become easier, and we're going to see more technical marketers enter the craft. This is going to be very exciting for the industry because it's going to mean that we can build a lot of things that will help us to reach more people and resonate with more people at scale. So again, when you're thinking about what your action item is, what your experiment or your sales or marketing funnel looks like, make sure that you can measure your customers or potential customers every step of the way so that your data can grow with you and so that you can really connect with customers whether you have 1, 1,000, or 100,000? After you've done this, you want to make sure that you're building systems that you can repeat and use to grow your business. So the golden formula at Jobbatical, and the formula that I've used with many other companies, is to first figure out your product market fit. This is exactly the part that I spoke about in the beginning, about figuring out your unique selling proposition, seeing what really resonates with customers, what are the trends, and how do you connect to those trends to make more sales. And then, what do you build that's different from anything else on the market or less expensive than anything else on the market? Then your challenge is to figure out how to get customers at cost. So for example, if I'm selling cars, maybe I know that every single car I sell is going to make me $5,000. I know that if I need to be a profitable business, I cannot spend more than $5,000 in order to sell any given car. But if I can figure out how to, with labor costs and everything else that I'm spending in order to get customers, if I can sell one car by only spending $1,000 and I make $5,000, then my net gain, or then my gain will be $4,000. And so if I can do it once, what's great about digital marketing in particular is that for the most part, you can probably do it again and again. I focus on this for Facebook ads, AdWords, LinkedIn messages, or LinkedIn ads, and any other way that you pay for customers. And so once you've figured out this equation, you can really lean into it and scale it to the maximum. You can figure out exactly how to build not just one, but many systems that work. So that's it for the presentation side. I really wanted to add time for questions.
That was a real storytelling which helps out all digital marketers out there. And we reached two more questions from the audience side. So what are the future marketing trends to expect in the upcoming years?
So I think that for sure we're going to see more ways to collect data. Marketing is going to be more technical than ever. And we're going to see a lot more personalization. Even though we have this battle where our consumers want more privacy, at the same time, they're willing to give that away for better services. I think Spotify does this so well. People will say every single song that they have ever loved on Spotify so that they know that when they're at a party, they're going to only hear what they love. So we're going to see.
So here we go for the next question. What are the common mistakes to be avoided in storytelling?
Oh gosh, I think the biggest thing is not to be offensive, but then at the other side of it, don't be afraid to really be who you are, or to really have a voice and say the opinions that really connect. Because there are so many choices out there these days. Of course, everyone can just go with the cheapest option, and sometimes they can, but when there's Amazon and all these other brands, it's hard to compete on price. So the best way to compete is on storytelling. So I think it's about being unashamed and being...
So here we go, the third question. What should your storytelling strategy include?
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that's a great question. It really gets to the essence of it. For Jobbatical, it's definitely about, we really care about what it is that drives people, and we really want to stay connected to people from the moment that they dream of taking a job in another country to the moment that they do it. And that's no small feat, right? It's amazing for people to move from one country to another with their families. And not a lot of people are doing it. And so for us, and also for me personally, it's about connecting with people who are like us and really trying to understand their emotional journey.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lauren Proctor, for all delivering all the information which you had shared in the participants' tract. So thanks for your knowledge sharing here in the GDMS 2. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It was an honor to be here.